Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me, and hope you're having a good morning so far, having a great day. I am starting my day with my very traditional English breakfast tea today. This is my, oops, wrong side, my kind of go-to tea, but I'm drinking it in my little cup that I bought at our recycling place, which I love. And so cheers. Hope that you're doing great and that you have got a cup of tea or coffee or something to relax you, and that your morning has got off to a peaceful and calm start. And that's what I wanted to chat about today. This doesn't happen for everybody anymore, this peaceful starts to the day. A lot of people are barraged by breaking news, and if you are like me and have been a bit of a news junkie all your life, making that switch to turn off and start the day and continue the day in a more balanced and sort of quiet state of mind has been a challenge. Now, we have a blogger named Elaine Ambrose who wrote an article on 6 ways to stop the noise of constant breaking news. Now, some of the news channels are a little bit more intense than others on this, but that bar across the TV or the screen, breaking news, and it's just very disruptive. So I think it's true. A lot of women in our community started as young women. We had newspapers, we read the news, we tried to be connected to the world. And then, of course, when that switched, 10, 15 years ago to the internet, and newspapers started to fade away a bit, we were impatient for news. We didn't want to wait until the next day's news. We wanted to go online or watch the teletext on TV. Do you remember that with the news that was breaking? And I can remember actually on our TV, in England, we had this teletext where you could read the news as it scrolled, breaking news. And I remember that's how I heard about John Lennon's death, shooting. It came on the teletext, and it was like, oh my God. And it was so stressful and so horrible, but to have it like disconnected from me that on a screen. Anyway, so we all have our ways of dealing with the complexity of the world that we live in. And here on 60 and Me, we've recently started a news element to 60 and Me. So we have current events and current news, and it's been very interesting to watch some of the emotion that gets tangled up with with breaking news. And it's almost like we've started to choose our friends and to take sides. And it's not just in the United States, it's all over the world. There seems to be this dialogue now that isn't based as much on, friendship and kindness and understanding, because there is no right or wrong side. And we certainly at 60 and Me don't support any one side. We really are balanced in the way that we present our news. When we ask a question that you may feel is intensely, is important to you, it doesn't mean that we're not challenging your belief or asking you to justify. We're simply asking a question about, what do you think about this topic? Or, and so I think it's important, though, that that as a company, we take a fairly strong position on people that become aggressive on the website. It's not a place that we want to have arguments about politics. We just want to have whole discussion. It's a free country, a free world, and we want to have a discussion and an open mind about lots of things that are going on. But we really want, want it to not be stressful. So Elaine's article, some things you can do to have a positive impact, in your life and how to deal with this rampant anger that seems to be in the world these days. So her suggestion, first thing, start the day with music. I love that. She said instead of starting her day with news, she starts it with a playlist of songs and just takes a moment to meditate before her day begins. I do this too. That's not quite true. I do read the news first, and then I sit down and do some meditation, because I just feel like you need to kind of get a perspective on it. Like, it's just not good to be agitated so early in the morning. So start with music if that's your way. The next thing is to appreciate a different opinion. Now, we know that women in their 60s, and men too, are pretty set in our ways. Not just because we have belief system and values, but we have experience. I mean, we know how some things have played out over the years. and we have friends that have been affected by them. We have had tragedies that have been because of news and because of different positions that have emerged in our lives. So we know this, that trying to we tend to want to justify our beliefs and our passions without thinking about opening our minds and our hearts to another point of view. To not necessarily, well, certainly not to change your mind. That's not the goal at all, but to actually try to understand different perspectives, and especially to understand different generations. When we were young, we had different points of view, and maybe we were a little more closed-minded. But now's the time, I think, to open your heart and open your mind to different points of views. Now, according to Elaine, I think another one too is to pick your battles. Don't care if someone has purple hair or, has a sort of particular look about them or wears certain clothes. That's not a battle I want to win or even care about. Multiple piercings, tattoos. That's just not the battle for me. In fact, there's no battle. There's a line, I guess, where it gets to be where people start to become mean and disrespectful about a belief that is theirs and justifiably can be theirs if they want. But when they start being showing vitriol and anger towards another person and being insulting, that's the line for me. I think there's, I don't choose my battles based on appearance, but maybe on values. And so anyway, that's just my point of view. And the next thing that Elaine says, which I think is even more true now than ever before, and that's don't believe everything you read. There's so much news today that has not been fully researched, that's just been published because someone has bought an ad or has done something to make it look like a real story, or even just taken a picture from another time and place and just lied about it, said something different. I mean, that is not the truth. It is their truth, perhaps, but it's not the truth. And so that skeptical, always wins over gullible, according to Elaine. Always check your facts. There's a site actually called Snopes.com, Snopes, Snopes.com, where you can actually check a story, and they completely free of any bias one way or the other, research all the stories that are out there on the internet, on different websites, Facebook, Google, and come back and say it is true or not true. True in the true sense that it happened or it didn't happen, or that picture was taken at that time and not another time. That person said a certain thing or not. And they just go back and check every possible angle to make sure it's been supported. So that's a good thing to know. The other thing I think is a kind of a nice one that Elaine reminds us of is to know that someone needs you. Don't spend your life online either trying to justify your own beliefs or oppose someone else's. Know that somebody out there needs you. Your grandchild, a friend, a neighbor. There's something that you can be doing with your life to make a positive difference. Visit an older person, deliver some food, help out at the school, help out with your church, support community causes. There's so many things that you can do other than sit there watching the news, getting steamed up about things that may or may not be true, and, just prioritize it a little differently. And then finally, at the end of the day, Elaine says she ends her day with music. And it's a big shift. The day's been downloading all this information to you, making you feel stressed and worried and upset. And I mean, goodness knows there's enough going on in this world that is horrible. I mean, it's just outrageously sad. And, those are things that we sometimes we don't have any control over. So we have to do the things that we can control. And she said, for example, I love the latest song, which is now not latest anymore, but Andrea Bocelli and Ed Sheeran. I just think that's gorgeous. I often listen to Leonard Cohen and John Lennon I even listen to sometimes. I listen to music that just gives me a perspective, just a perspective on life that neutralizes some of the anger from the day or the upset. And I have a friend in London. Her name is Francesca, and she is just an amazing woman, very inspiring. I've known her for many years, and she was a teacher of mine actually in Colorado. But she's now very into music. And we went to lunch when I was in London. We had a chat about music, and she was talking to me about the complexity of how a composer just writes music. I mean, how you actually go about writing music. And now I have a far deeper appreciation for classical music. When I listen to it, it's just remarkable that the kind of the rules that a lot of the classical composers had to follow, and how they managed some of them, well, all of them in their own way, to break free, and create magic. So it's really wonderful to end your day with music. And it doesn't have to be listening, it can be singing. You can go and join a choir. You can just sing to yourself. You can sing to your grandson. I've become quite the expert with Puff the Magic Dragon with my son, my grandson, I should say. Anyway, and I think just generally contribute positive thoughts to the world. Perhaps you say a prayer. Perhaps you chant. Maybe you just say the words out silently, and just hoping that people can find peace and love in their lives. That's brings something constructive to the world, despite your belief system. So I think that's it was a really good article to read. I'll send you the link so you can follow through it in more detail. But basically, I'd like to ask you, how do you cope with all the negative energy in the world today? How do you cope with all the negative energy in the world? And then I guess a related question is, how do you think we can reach out to the younger generations and have a really constructive conversation about the world that they're inheriting and we're letting go in their charge? How do you deal with the negative energy in the world, and how can we have a constructive conversation to go forward? I'd really like to get your thoughts on this. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your contribution. I mean, and I know we have women have all different beliefs, black and white almost sometimes. But I love the ones of you who can rise above it. You can just say, start the sentence with, "In my opinion." In my opinion, da da da. And that doesn't have to be anyone else's opinion. But thank you for the ones who do really take the time to be respectful and caring in these tough conversations that we have. So, how do you deal with all this negative energy in the world? Thanks again for being here, everyone. Tell a friend about 60 and Me, and I do look forward to seeing you all again really, really soon. Bye-bye for now.